Joining me now is the governor of South Dakota, Noem. Christy, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Rachel. I sure appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely. So these blackouts that we're seeing, they're reminiscent of what we saw in the former Soviet Union, in Cuba, in California last summer. Is this what we can expect in a, Joe Biden America that's pushing all these green energy policies?
Well, listen, I've always been a supporter of diversified energy. I think it's critically important that we prioritize all forms of energy. Biden has specifically gone after coal and oil and gas, and I think that's dangerous. We should be supporting energy that's generated here in the United States, so we rely on our own sources, but also we don't put all of our eggs in one basket. We make sure it is diversified so we don't have the situation that we've got today in so many different states. I'm a supporter of wind energy, but it's not consistent, and that's why you're always going to need other forms of electricity to support the system and the grid so that families can make sure they can keep their houses warm.
Absolutely. So tell me really quickly, because I know that we're in the middle of this pandemic. The Keystone Pipeline is one of the first things that Joe Biden got rid of. So how is it affecting your state, and why the heck would he do that in the middle of a pandemic when we don't really have replacement jobs?
Well, it was interesting because the pipeline was being built through the state of South Dakota. In fact, they had already built a couple of pumping stations. They had the pipeline laid out, ready to be installed. And then when he pulled the permits, everything just stopped. There were so many families that have told their stories in recent days about the devastation to them and their incomes and their businesses. We had restaurants and motels and gas stations that had expanded, getting ready for the workers that were going to be here for the next several years building the pipeline. They were excited about the opportunities to get the property taxes in these local small schools from the pipeline. It was always going to be a source of revenue that would help them keep their roads fixed, keep commerce going, and make sure that their teachers could be well paid in a lot of these remote areas where economic development is a little challenging. So in overnight, their whole plan for the future was just gone. And I think for a lot of families in the state of South Dakota, it was devastating. For me in particular, I see all sides of it as well. It was a critical piece of infrastructure that gave us energy in this country and made sure that we were going to be able to deliver it efficiently and safely and protect the environment. Listen, this pipeline was safer for the environment than how we're moving this oil today. It was safer for people than how we're moving it today by rail and by truck line, and it was going to bring down the cost of gas and oil in this country, which is so important to those hardworking families that try to pay their bills every month.
So, Governor, you're not just a politician, you're not just a governor, you're also a rancher. And we had that interview with Bill Gates earlier. Yeah. He says that we need to stop eating beef. So I want you to see this clip, but I want to come back on the other side with you on that.
This company, Nature's Find, is using fungi, and then they turn them into sausage and yogurt. Pretty amazing.
When you say fungi, do you mean like a mushroom or a microbe?
It's a microbe.
So how would fungi microbe burgers go over in South Dakota?
Well, I mean, I like mushrooms, but I like my beef too. So,
you like them on top
in
of
South
the burger.
Dakota, the cattle industry is incredibly important to our state, of course. But here's the situation: is that he talks a lot about carbon emissions out of cattle, but he doesn't take into account the carbon emissions and the inefficiencies in generating food like that, and how expensive that food would be for the average everyday family. So, beef and protein's incredibly important. It's also important that a family can go to the grocery store and afford the food that they need to put on their table to take care of their kids. And that's the balance that I don't think Bill Gates understands, is that for me, food policy's always been national security policy. It's important that we grow our own food in this country so another country doesn't control us. It's also important that it's diversified so that we don't have a shortage in one area, or we focus all in one area and it becomes too expensive for families to actually go to the store, buy it, and put it on the table.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the future of the GOP. There seems to be this battle here, right, where you have the Mitch McConnell, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger side of the party who's saying we need to, forget Trump. We need to move on. We need to change the Republican Party. But I live not very far from where you live, and that's certainly not what I'm hearing out there. So tell me what you think.
I think what people want is a Republican Party that actually follows through on what they say they're going to do, that actually puts forward and enacts the policies that we say we believe in. We talked for years about doing health care reform, repealing Obamacare, and we haven't done it. We've talked about doing immigration reform, making sure that we're welcoming people legally to this country, and we haven't done it. So that's what I think the last several years should teach Republicans, is that we're tired of politicians. We're tired of people that stand up and give speeches and never take action. That's what the last administration did, is they took action, and people realized that they liked that, and they liked the benefits of people who actually were public servants.
You know, I told people that I was going to have you on the show today, and a lot of people want to know if you're going to run for president.
Oh, I'm running for re-election to be governor of South Dakota, so I'll be up for re-election in 2022, and I'm hoping the people of the state will trust me again to lead the state for another 4 years. It's a special place.
You know, I want to talk to you really quick also about a lot of people out there are frustrated with the government. That's how you got into government. Can you very quickly tell us why you got into government and why that personal tragedy really got you to get moving in there?
Yeah. Well, what happened was I was going to college, and my dad was killed in an accident. He was 49 years old at the time, actually the same age that I am now, and was killed. And I came home and took over the family businesses, but within weeks we were notified that we owed death taxes. And we owed the federal government a bunch of money because we had a tragedy in our family. So it made me mad. I tell people all the time that I just decided that I was going to start showing up at meetings. I had been raised by a dad who was a cowboy, who just said, you don't complain about things, you fix them. And I realized I needed to start showing up, and if I wanted different laws, different policies, that I needed to be there and be a business person, a mom, someone who actually gave my perspective. If there's one thing that I've learned since I've been in public office, is that you get better bills, you get better laws, you get better policies when you have a diversity of opinions around the table. When you have men, women, people of different backgrounds and cultures there having the discussion and the debate, you will end up with a better law that serves people much better into the future. So my hope is that more women will run, that more average people at home that are running businesses will sit at that table, show up at that meeting, and contribute, because that's really how we fix what's wrong with this country.
Yeah, we need people who really know what it's like to you know, run a family and have kids and pay bills. Running for office, Christy Noem, Governor Noem, it is such a pleasure to have you on today. I want to thank you so much, and I'm sure that you're inspiring so many people who are watching right now. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rachel.